Welcome back, y'all. It is Friday and almost the weekend. It is Casual Friday here, as you can see, which means layering and oversized plaids and all that type of fun stuff. It's a Casual Friday. It's almost the weekend. I am so glad that we are almost the weekend. We've survived another week, guys. Isn't God good? And I'm without coffee right now because I cleaned my coffee maker out and I didn't want to run it so soon after running cleaner through it. So, yeah, I'm without coffee and it's Casual Friday. So let's hop on over to our jump into scripture. So, if you're watching this with us today, on the day that I'm releasing this video, it is a Friday and it is also the 13th. So it is a Friday the 13th. And for a lot of people that conjures up, superstition, weird things happening, black cats, I don't know, name it. It's been a part of probably humanity for almost as long as humanity has existed. Like, I'm sure by the time Noah was there was superstitions. And honestly, we're just going to dive in a little bit today. What are superstitions exactly? And how does a Christian respond to a superstition? Is Christianity superstitious? I've heard people accuse Christians of just being superstitious. So let's go ahead and look at it. Before I started filming this, I just looked up on the internet and found some really random definitions of what a superstition is. So I'm just going to read them really quick. Superstition, one source said, a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation. Someone else, and this is sort of a mishmash of multiple definitions, a belief or practice resulting from ignorance, fear, or trust in magic or the supernatural or a supernatural causation. And so basically superstition is a belief in some supernatural cause, something that is caused by another world, sort of. And as the second definition pointed out, a lot of times it's from ignorance or fear, because if you think about it, some of the things that, maybe caused by a black cat, it's not actually caused by a black cat, it's, some natural cause. And superstitions are often, we think of them as sort of silly, sort of, old wives' tales. But why do people believe it? Why do people, actually believe in superstition? Why do people believe in luck? Luck has a lot to do with superstition. And honestly, as I was, looking at these definitions, I'm like, well, the one thing that was very, almost in every definition was talking about the supernatural. And honestly, superstition, luck, those type of things are really the lost man's attempt at spirituality. Thank you. Because I think man is created with, this need to know God, and we know as human beings that there is more beyond us. It's not just the physical world. We know that there's a spiritual element to this world, and when someone doesn't have the answers that are found in Scripture, that are found in God, you have to come up with something else. And often this does lead to superstition. Obviously, other world religions are seeking this shape of God, but those who sort of push off religion have caused this own religion of sort of this weird worship of spirituality. I'm really struggling with this word. You know what word I mean. And it just rises up in these really weird things like superstitions, like luck, and all of the things that run out of that. And, so what exactly for us, because I know as Christians, sometimes, oh, you're just superstitious, you just believe in, fairy tales and old wives' tales. So are we superstitious as Christians? Exactly. I want to take a look really quick at those definitions again that I pulled up. It says an unjustified belief, or from ignorance or fear. And I just jotted down a few verses that brought to mind. The first one was from 2 Timothy 1, verse 12. And this is when Paul is giving his defense of his apostleship. And in the middle of that defense, he says, for which cause I also suffer these things. Nevertheless, I'm not ashamed. For I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. And there's just this confidence in knowing God. You know, our spirituality, I'm so messing up, spirituality doesn't come from some fear of God with a great big stick that's going to hit us if we mess up. It's this confidence, this relationship with God. And this relationship doesn't lead to some superstitious fear that, oh, God's going to get me, or God's going to, strike me dead, if I mess up. There's 2 Timothy mentions it in a little bit earlier in the chapter. In verse 7, he says, For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. None of those things fit into his superstitious lifestyle. Fate, luck. We don't have to believe in just, luck. We don't have to believe in fate. We know that God controls everything, and we don't have to live in fear. God hasn't given us the spirit of fear. He's given us power, control. We don't have to just leave our lives to fate. We have power in God, and we have love, and we have a sound mind. We're not given over to fear or, just mental games that we play with ourselves. And then there's also another verse I wanted to point out that also talks about, God hasn't given us fear, is 1 John 4:18. No, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. And the love of God is ultimately shown in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And when we're in that relationship, we are the recipients of his love, and we continue to grow that love. And as we read scripture, we just know his love more and more. And that is the confidence, and his love is just casting out fear. We don't have room for fear. We don't have to fear, because we are secure in Jesus Christ. And that's what sets us apart from, superstition, fables, magic, luck. Fate is, we don't just believe in some aura of supernatural. We have a person. We have a faith and a trust. And that faith and trust isn't in just, some field of magic. It's in God. It's in a supernatural way. We have experienced him in our lives. We can point to him in our own lives. Other people can point to him in their lives. And we can see God working. We can see his fingerprints everywhere. And it's not this fear that so often drives, Friday the 13th, superstition. It's not fear. We don't live in fear. We don't have to live in fear. We can live in confidence. We can live in love. Love and fear are complete opposites, and where superstition just acts on fear and acts on uncertainty and, man's grasping to understand the supernatural thing that he can't understand without the leading of the Spirit. Without God, you can't even, honestly, what am I saying? Even as a believer, you can't completely wrap your head around, God or who he is or what he does. But even more so, if God isn't a part of your life, God isn't leading and directing, you can't know. And it's just grasping at straws and living in this fear of, superstition, or, whether it's an occultic thing or devils, or, living in fear of other people. We don't do that. That's why we can start to chuckle at Friday the 13th. We can chuckle at black cats. We can, because we don't have to live in fear. And it's so amazing. And I think sometimes I'm preaching to the choir, honestly, because, we don't have fear about superstitions necessarily, but, just fear of not knowing what's happening, not being able to know your future for certain, and you want certain things to happen, but the political atmosphere and all this uncertainty, it's really easy to fear. And I think that's just a good verse, whether we're talking superstitions or we're talking Friday the 13th or we're just talking every day during our life, No fear in love. God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and love, and of sound mind. And we can live confidently. We can live courageously. So do it. Do it this weekend. Live confidently, live fully, live courageously, and live for God, guys. Live for God. Be a testimony. Don't live in fear, whether it's superstition or whether it's just practical, daily, in this tumultuous world. Don't fear. Live confidently. Thank you for watching Coffee Corner. My name is Jarena, because I forgot to tell you guys that at the beginning of this video. If you haven't subscribed, maybe give another video a listen, and go ahead, subscribe below, ring the bell so you can get notifications of when I post videos. And we hope to see you guys again on Monday. Have a great weekend.